Well, hello and welcome, Divergent. How are we? I hope we are all good. Well, let's see where we left last time. And as you can see in the screen, I've been searching, right, for the amazing claims that were made by Mr. Tudor, right? And let me tell you, there is a lot of difficulties going on. So, yeah, I'm afraid Mr. Tudor was facing the same difficulties I was facing. But yeah, let's kick in the intro, and I will see you all on the other side, hopefully for a good and fun one. And we are back. Yes, we are back. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so I tried to go and find where is the so-called UK tax law. As you can see here in my screen, let me see if I can, yeah, amplify this a little bit better. So yeah, UK tax law. When you put it in Google, Google brings this amazing bunch of jibber jabber into the equation. I can call it jibber jabber. Yeah, I know, because that's all there is. Okay, so I went to see this one because, okay, what is tax law? That's exactly what I am after. I want to know what is exactly the law. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Well, we came to this website, employability legal practice areas. So I think that yeah, we could say that it probably is good related site for us to go and have a look. And it says what you guys are reading, right? Legal practice areas. Okay, tax law. Yeah, this is what I'm after. Okay. And for my surprise, tax lawyers are involved in advertising their clients. No, oh, my mouth is always running to the same things over and over. The truth is something that, I mean, it just comes out, you know. It's not advertising, it's advising. Yes, they are the only ones who can advise their clients because they have a license to advise their clients. And they also have what? Yes, clients. And the clients give them what? Yes, a payment for their advice. Okay, but again, I'm still lost. I don't know what this has to do with tax law, but let's move along. Such as private individuals. Private individuals. Who the fuck is the private individuals? I don't know. Companies or the government? Wow. On the best way to mitigate their tax liability. Interesting. So, most tax work is non-contagious, but tax lawyers working for Revenue and Customs are engaged in investigating potential breaches of the law. Okay, yeah, that's what I want to know. How are you investigating? Because you guys must know what the law is, okay? And either prosecuting individuals or companies or defending cases on behalf of the government. on behalf, defending cases on behalf of the government. But who is the government? Who is the man or woman that tells another man or woman to go and on his behalf? Yeah, this is getting a little bit weird and confused, but okay. So let's see. Types of tax laws. This is where my jaw just dropped, okay? So income tax, it's a law. Property tax, it's a law. Capital gains, it's a law. UK inheritance, it's a law. Value added tax, VAT, it's a law. And non-profit tax, it's a law. Guys, am I the only one getting confused? Or is just that? Please comment below. Tell me if I'm seeing this all wrong. Types of tax laws. And the types, I'm assuming it's the income. So the income should have its own law. The property should have its own law, and so on and so forth. Yeah? Okay. Probably is this, right? Probably is this. Yeah? So, okay. What does a tax lawyer do? Well, tax lawyers who act for private clients will be engaged in client meetings, advising on potential tax liability, for example, in the buying or selling of assets, and the best way to mitigate that liability. Tax lawyers who act for companies often work with other teams of lawyers as an aspect of a larger deal, as virtually all commercial transactions will include tax ramifications. Typically, the deals might include advising on the tax implications of mergers and acquisitions, property deals, restructuring, and all manners of finance and funds, equity, and debt. Oh là là, c'est pas possible. So far, I'm still at loss. I don't know what is UK tax laws. I really don't, and none of here is telling me what is the tax law, UK tax law. I want to know. And apparently, yeah, this one here offered me nothing. I'm still very, very confused. So maybe I should go and research what is the law, because probably that's what I need to go and research, right? Because apparently I'm so lost that I'm not seeing this right. Okay, so let's see here. What does it say? Okay, so what is law? That's my question. And Mr. Google gives me can you guys read the results? Yeah, those are very huge numbers. Okay, but it says that law, yeah, it's a noun. And basically, it goes on by saying law is the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulation the actions of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. Okay, so This is the law. And what we've seen previously was tax law. So, which means that it's a system of rules, right? Which a particular country or community recognizes, as recognizes as regulating. And if I don't recognize it, then what happens then? Regulating the actions of its members. The members of what? The members of a county club? No, the members of a country. Yeah, because if you didn't know, countries, they have members. Yeah, like in a private club, That's why probably it's a particular country. Or a community. Okay. So, rules and regulations, system of laws, body of laws, constitution. So I can take that law is a system of rules. Okay, right? It's a system of rules. Okay, let's see if I'm not mistaken, right? So a rule defining correct procedure or behavior in a sport. Yeah, we've all been practicing this type of sports. Yeah, great. Well, but I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this. So, what is the law in simple terms? Yeah, that would be a question I would use as a follow-up, because I'm not getting it so far. So again, a rule or set of rules, enforceable. Take notice. Enforceable by the courts, regulating the government of a state, the relationship between the organs of a government and the subjects of the state, and the relationship or conduct of subjects towards each other. I wonder who the subjects are. Well, I wonder what the word subject even means to them, because probably for me it has a complete different meaning. Okay, now I'm a little bit more clarified at what the law is. Yeah, so it's a rule or set of rules that are enforceable by the courts. Okay. What is the law in the UK then? What is the law in the UK? I find it very funny how Google has all this, all my questions are here, and you so promptly reply to them all. It's really fascinating. So the UK legal system in brief, England and Wales operate, yes, you are reading it correctly, a common law system which combines the passing of legislation, but also the creation of precedents through case law. So case law, it's where you will find the common law, right? But I would say that from the previous answers, what is law in the UK? I would say that England and Wales operate a rule or a set of rules enforceable by the courts, right? On a common law system which combines the passing of legislation but also the creation of precedents for case law. The laws, yes, it isn't just one, there are many. The laws are established by passing of legislation by Parliament, which consists of the monarch. Yeah, let your chin drop a little bit more. The House of Commons and the House of Lords. So, the laws or the set of rules and regulations enforced by the courts are established by the passing of legislation by Parliament and yada, 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 yada. But I'm not satisfied. No, I'm not satisfied. I can start to see, I can start to formulate an idea of what law is, but let's give a little bit of more ingredients to make this word salad. Why is law definition important? Yes, do tell. Why is law definition important? Right? Another reason that definitions are important is that some definitions are akin to rules in that they actually embody the law. Excuse me? Well, now I am a little bit more confused because I thought the law was a set of rules and regulations. So now you are telling me that definition is important because some definitions are akin to rules in that they actually embodied the law. Okay. Take, for example, this definition of offer encountered in the first week of contracts. Okay. So what? Adapted from Restatement of Contract Session 24. No. No, not clear at all. Not really clear at all. But Google goes on to tell me that, okay, I will give you then an example of what the law is. Okay, so pay attention. So every country has its own set of laws. Why would we call something a law if the definition is a set of rules and regulations? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Why don't you call it a set of rules and regulations? Oh, but those are the law. Rules and regulations are the law. Is that what are you trying to tell me, Google? Let's see. And each is unique to that country. You don't say. For example, in the United States, the law is that drivers must drive on the right side of the road. Why is that a law? I thought that was a custom. Like it's costume, tradition, long traditions of the land. But you say it's a law. Okay. In England, on the other hand, the law is that drivers must drive on the left side of the road. Well, again, that was not I wouldn't say that was your best example, Google, to be honest. No. Okay, so then the other questions, to be honest, they are not very, we can dwell a little bit here on the Wikipedia, and the Wikipedia tells us that law is a set of rules that are created and are enforceable by social or governmental institutions to regulate behavior with its precise definition, a matter of I don't even know because I don't even want to go and read that. Okay, so Britannica tells us that law, the discipline and profession concerned with the customs, practices, and rules of conduct of a community that are recognized as binding by the, I would finish with the enforcers, but okay. Are you guys confused yet? Yeah, I am very much, So, the law in an English meaning tells me, in Cambridge Dictionary, tells me again that is a rule. Yeah. And usually, this one is usually made by a government. So it's a rule. This one is the law. It's the discipline and profession concern of the customs, and the other one tells me it's a set of rules. Okay, and this one tells me that there is a rule usually made by a government that states how people may and may not behave in a society, and often orders particular punishments if they do not obey. Are you feeling mommy and daddy? Yeah, punishing you for not taking the bins out? Well, there you have it. Then we have the dictionary.com that says that again is a rule or principle of proper conduct sanctioned by conscious concepts of natural justice or the will of a deity, a moral law, a rule or manner of behavior. Oh dear Lord. Oh dear Lord. Okay. And then we have the Merriam-Webster, okay, law definition and meaning. So again, the meaning of law is a binding custom or practice of a community, a rule of conduct or action prescribed or formally recognized as binding. My God. On Collins Dictionary, a law is again a rule or a set of rules for good behavior, which is considered right and important by the majority of people for moral, religious, or emotional reasons. So the British Academy tells us that, again, what is law? Well, law is a technical subject. Oh my God, you do not say that. So law is a technical subject? Without doubt, but it courses through with large questions about the kind of world we live in and how best to, I don't even know because I don't even want to go inside of this, but you guys can if you want to have fun, go ahead and see for yourselves, So the digital repository moral law, a definition of law, and this definition is from 1926, and it was cited by 9. Civil law he defined as a rule of civil conduct prescribed by the supreme power in a state commanding what is right and prohibiting, let me guess, what is wrong, probably. But okay, this one I find it interesting. So let's have a look at this one. Yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, okay, here we have it. So hope you guys are watching this one. Yeah. As funny as it can be. I will try to make this. Okay, so here it is. What is law in its legal sense? Well, Blackstone said that law, in its most general and comprehensive sense, is that rule of action which is prescribed by some superior and which is the inferior is bound to obey. Now you know, folks, which scale you are in. Civil law is defined as a rule of civil conduct prescribed by the supreme power in the state, commanding what is right and prohibiting what is wrong. Oh my God, how did I guess that one? So, in Blackstone's definitions, in his definitions, again, everybody's defining everything for me, but I have no clearly, not even a clear idea of what is what. I can say for a fact at this point that, none of you guys told me what law is, but okay. So in Blackstone's definitions, there are two main concepts. The first, the concept of a superior, and the second, the concept of a command. Is Blackstone's definition correct in either of these respects? Well, is law something set or given by a superior to an inferior, or by a sovereign to a person in a state of subjection? This concept of Blackstone would exclude all international law, as perhaps it should, but it has been criticized on this account. It would also exclude constitutional law and all law adopted by a people of a country, as in the United States, since such constitutions, and for that matter, all law in such jurisdictions, is adopted by the sovereign people for their own control, not by some superiors for their other inferiors. Since Blackstone's definition does not include this sort of law, you're really right. The proper conclusion is, oh my God, we get it to a conclusion. Not that there is no such law, but that the definition is inadequate. What? Let's read this one again, shall we? I'm going to highlight this one. So, since Blackstone's definition does not include this sort of law, the proper conclusion is not that there is no such law, but that the definition is inadequate. So, is law a command? Even Austin had difficulty in fitting his definition to laws explaining the import of existing positive laws and the laws abrogating or repealing existing positive law. How could it any better be applied to any of the common law? So you guys read it with me. So it's not just me saying these things, and it's not just me who gets confused, right? But I want to know more. I really do. I need to know more. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. So I decided to, better to go to my lovely online etymology dictionary. At least I've always found that it's a little bit more, I get a little bit more satisfaction than in other stupidity that I'm looking around. So here we have law. Old English lago, plural laga, combining form la. Ordinance, rule prescribed by authority. Yeah, you see. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. So law, we could say that law, it's a rule or a set of rules prescribed by authority. There must be some sort of, I don't know, like the other ones were saying, an entity that declared authority on all of us, right? Yeah. So regulation, district governed by the same laws. Also, sometimes right legal privilege. From Old Norse lagu, law, collective plural of lag, layer, measure, stroke. Literally, something laid down, that which is fixed or set. This is reconstructed to be from Proto-Germanic lagam, put lay, from pi, root, length, to lie down, lay. The modern word is thus a twin of lay, as that which is set or established. Rare in Old English, it outstead the more usual a, and also gistines. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly. Yeah, gistines, gustines. I don't know. Which also were etymologically something placed or set. So in physics, a proposition which expressed the regular order of things from 1660, law and order, have been coupled since 1796 to lay down the law. 1752 is pleonastic. The law in the figure is biblical law laid down from the pulpit. Poor laws provided for the support of paupers at public expense. Sumptuary laws restrain excess in apparel, food, or luxuries. It is more common for Indo-European language to use different words for a specific law and for law in the general sense of institution or body of laws. For example, Latin lex, a law, jus, a right, especially legal right law. Indo-European words for a law are most commonly from verbs for to put, place, set, lay, such as Greek thesmos, from thithemi, to put place, Old English dome, from pi, to put place, set, Lithuanian istatimas, from statiti, cause to stand, set up, establish. Polish ustawa, from stand. Also compare Old English gazettines above. Statute, another very interesting word, but I'm not going to go to this one today. And from Latin stature, the German Gesetz, a law statute. From Old High German Gesetze, a fixing, determination, assessment, and yada, 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 yada. Words for law in the general sense mostly mean etymologically what is right, and often are connected with adjectives for right, themselves often figurative uses of words for straight, upright, true, fitting, or usage, custom. I would go with this one. Such are Greek nomos, as in nomismatic, French droit, Spanish derecho, from Latin directos, Polish prawo, Russian pravo, from Old Church Slovakia pravo, straight, in the daughter language right, also Old Norse, yada yada, Dutch, ba-ba-dee-ba-da-da. Okay, so right it is. So 1640s law to litigate from law. Old English add make a law, ordain, related to lord, lawing, and yada 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 yada. So here we have lay, and okay. Are we having fun yet? Yeah, no, not quite. Well, but from here I could say that, okay, so yeah, I could say that law could be yeah, set right, put right, yeah, or make it right. I would say that. Yeah, it would make more sense to me in that term. Yeah. But yet again, I was not quite happy yet, and because I was not quite happy yet, I decided to go and see Merriam-Webster, legal dictionary, and find out what do they have to say. So apparently, this is what they have to say. So again, a binding custom or practice of a community, a rule of conduct or action prescribed, see prescribed, formally recognized as binding or enforced by a controlling authority. It's funny how it's always either a controlling authority or some sort of enforcing authority. Yeah, we can see a pattern here already. The whole body of such customs, practices, or rules. The courts exist to uphold, interpret, and apply the law. Well, if they are interpreting and they are applying, yeah, where does this one fit? Controlling authority. Recognized as a binding or enforced by a controlling authority. Would the courts be that controlling authority? Well, where did the courts get that authority from? One must wonder. I mean, it's more questions, I get more questions every time I try to go in and find something of this. I get more questions than answers. So, in common law, the control brought about by the existence of enforcement or enforcement of such law. The Indian government is believed to have detained thousands of other people last year. The government said the move, described by critics as the draconian, was necessary to maintain law and public order in the region. And where this thing would be coming from? Yeah, the draconian. Yeah, authority. Yeah, right. See also law and order. No, I don't want to go there. So the law is also the action of laws considered as a means of redressing wrongs. Also, litigation developed the habit of going to law over the slightest provocation. The agency of or an agent of established law. My God, so much definitions to just for one tiny little 3-letter word. A rule or order that it is advisable or obligatory to observe, something compatible with or enforceable by established law. It's always this obligatory, enforceable, agency, agent, and control and authority. Of course, there we have it, right? Often capitalized, the revelation of the will of God set forth in the Old Testament. Oh my God, yeah. The first part of the Jewish scriptures. What? Come again? The first part of the Jewish scriptures. Torah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. A rule of construction or procedure. The whole body of laws relating to one subject, criminal law, private law, the legal perfection, the legal perfection, oh my God, profession, not perfection. Law is a department of knowledge, jurisprudence, legal knowledge, a statement. Oh my God, the general relation. Okay, I'm still trying to figure it out. What is law, guys? Yeah. 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 You see, uh, this is what we have. Okay. Was just a quick one, right? A quickie. And in this quickie, just one single question, this is what I got. Yeah. So this is what I got. And what can I tell you? I'm not happy. No. I didn't get my answer. No. So yeah, the thing will continue, my pursuit will continue to find out what law is, but yeah, apparently I will prefer to stick to the facts. And with the facts, shall we proceed? Because it's better than, dabbling around in all this shenanigans. Well, as I promised you guys before in the other video, we had Adrian James providing with a letter that is in Word, so anyone can adapt this letter to start asking those amazing questions, So I will guide you through this letter, because you will see most of the things that we started today's video. You will find more answers just in this letter than basically an entire research of a few minutes of asking what is tax law, and we didn't get to any point. But yeah, so I will post this letter in the Telegram group, so anyone that wants to download it, you can download it from there. And I think it's easier to download it from there. So this is what we have. It will be in Word format, so you can add your details, and even you can change whatever you need to be changing. Okay, so let's go through it, please. Let's do it. Again, recipient of the attached affidavit of truth on the 10th of March of 2020. So this is in CC. So Jesse Normand, which was the recipient of the attached affidavit. Again, our reference, House of James, Aline, James Ara. All correspondence will be kept on file pending future legal action. Dear Mr. James Allen Ara, we are writing to you in your capacity as both Secretary and Chief Executive Officer for HMRC. This is an instruction to cease collection of any tax, national insurance, or other financial deductions made illegally without my consent, or indeed the consent of the circa of 67.5 million. I think this number, go on Google and see what Google has to say about this fake number as well. But yeah, if you want to correct it by the Google standards, please do. Alleged governed of this country. We would note that no one can create law. Again, we would note that no one can create law, and from what we saw, rules and regulations, or a set of rules, and impose that law, or in this case, set of rules and regulations, onto another by an act of force, because that's all we've seen so far. This would be recognized as an act of force without any formal or legal agreement, and as such is a recognized act of terrorism. To this observation of fact, we would note that there is a mandatory requirement for a formal agreement as to what law is. There is indeed there is indeed a requirement for a formal agreement to what law is. And why do we say this? Because in the absence of this formal agreement, of any valid material evidence to this formal agreement signed by the many, then there is no material evidence that there is any such thing as law. Okay? There is no such thing as law, government or govern whatsoever. We would further note that without this valid material evidence by way of an agreement, law is a belief or a concept in the abstract without any foundation in fact or merit, something that Google did want to bring up in all the things that we've seen before. Equally, without any valid and recognized foundation in fact that anybody carries an obligation or liability under the acts and statutes of Parliament, that would only be a belief, a concept in the abstract, without any foundation in reality and without any credibility or merit. Repeatedly, we have heard the words used that people of this land have or carry an obligation under the acts or statutes of Parliament. We note that there can be no obligation, as an obligation stems from a formal agreement or contract where there has been offer and acceptance with consideration in both directions and full disclosure, without coercion or deception, and where there has been no full disclosure, any contract or agreement is void by default. Therefore, meaning that there are no obligations or liabilities under the acts and statutes of HM, Parliament and Government State Company. We also note the definition of statute in the law books is as follows. And you've guys seen it, I will bring it back later. So, statute, legislative rule given the force of law by the consent of the governed. We would note from the definition of statute, there is a mandatory requirement that there is the consent of the governed before the legislative rule can be acted upon or given the so-called force of law. Consent in this context would constitute an agreement to be governed, and equally, there can be no credible government with any credibility or merit, as one cannot exist in the absence of the other. Take it in, monkey boy. We are not done yet. It is fallacious maintained, however, that we elect government and that by this method there is a government. To this, we look for the credibility of the election process. For any contract or formal agreement, there is always a means to terminate that contract or agreement. To this effect, we would note that there is no known and formally recognized un-election process. We would also note that this word does not exist in any known dictionaries. We have looked. This alone invalidates the election process and voids it of any credibility or merit. The election process is extensively known across this land and is used every 5 years to elect officers into government. We further note that on none of these ballot papers is there an option for none of the above. And when councillors and MPs are pressed as to the reason for its absence, it is quickly dismissed and never qualified in any way. This is strike two on the lack of credibility of the election process. Is there a third? Yes, there is. It is also extensively known that this process of election is by way of a secret ballot. This means that none of the secret ballot papers can be relied upon as evidence to validate the election process, nor can any of them be used to prove that any of the votes were actually counted. That is strike three of the election process. As a secret ballot carries zero credibility and is not legal and binding. Therefore, none of the people of this land carry any obligations or liabilities under the acts and statutes of Parliament. We note that without any material presentable evidence that everyone in the country has legally and formally agreed to and signed on and for the public record the legal consent to be governed, the claim that HM Parliaments and Governments plc is a valid government is fraudulent and vexatious in nature. We would note also that without this formal agreement that the governed have agreed to be governed by a formal and legal process establishing that they have given their consent to be governed in full knowledge and understanding, then it is quite clear that any group of people, by whatever means, making the claim to be a government is nothing other than a group of thugs and terrorists creating bogus legislation as they wish and using force to enforce this bogus legislation. That is a recognized act of terrorism, and we are all victims of this one. We note that these are the facts and that they have been presented as evidence by way of a recognized tribunal, where a tribunal is also a recognized due process, and the findings at that tribunal were that the appellant carried no liability to pay a penalty charge notice claimed under the Traffic Management Act of 2004 by Warrington Borough Council. This was confirmed by a declaration of no contest, which was signed by an officer of the Warrington Council by the name of Scott Clark. This constitutes a formal agreement and recognition of the fact that none of the circa of the 60.5 million people of this land carry any obligation or liability under any of the acts and statutes of Parliament. And any claim being made under any act or statute by any officer of the government in their respective offices is fraudulent in nature, which is fraud by misrepresentation and the known chargeable criminal offense. There is a copy of this case file under this same cover within an affidavit of true statement of fact, which was served upon the 657 MPs of this land by email on the 20th day of February of 2015. See Exhibit B in the affidavit of true statement of fact. Has this affidavit of truth and statement of fact has not been contested or redressed by the 657 MPs in the office of the HM Parliaments and Governments Company, there is a formal and binding agreement through acquiesce that this affidavit of truth and statement of fact is a formally agreed foundation in fact. He who doesn't deny agrees by default. We would recommend that Mr. James Allen avail himself of the contents of the formal agreement to the facts presented within the published legal document. We would note that in Exhibit C of the affidavit and statement of fact that it is formally recognized by none other than how do you say that? Okay, Right Honourable Lord Chief Justice Sir Jack Bitson, FBA, at a speech he gave at Nottingham and Trent Law University in 2008, that the office of the judiciary is a sub-office of the state, and we would note that this has been confirmed by the esteemed Professor Chandra Kukatas of the London School of Economics and Political Science, that a state is a corporate entity or a company, and by this recognition to the fact that HM Parliament and Government PLC is a company with no greater authority than that of McDonald's, that any officer or judge in the office or the sub-office of the judiciary within this company carries no greater authority than the janitor in the office of janitor at McDonald's. The facts are known and have been presented and agreed many times, and they are being presented here again under the same cover as this letter. It is an extensive read, as it is all valid material evidence enclosed under this same cover. Here are all the liens done, and all other 58 to date, the members of Assembly the Welsh Assembly. This is House of Words, liens. So Professor Chandra Kukatas of the School of Economics and Political Science has extensively qualified definition of what a state is and is not. Well, at least it can give us that definition of a state, because I'm still trying for a definition of law, but yeah, right. Professor Chandra Kukatas of the School of Economics and Political Science has also extensively qualified what the interests of the state are and are not in the formally agreed affidavit of statement of fact, which is agreed foundation in fact. And here we go. Let's see, what did he say? So the state should not be viewed as a form of association that subsumes or subordinates all others. The state is not an entity whose interests map closely onto the interests of the groups and individuals that fall under its authority, but has interests of its own. Wow, fascinating. The state is, to some extent at least, an alien power or a lean power. Though it is of human construction, it is not within human control. Oh, you don't say. The state is not there to secure people's interests, and it does not serve to unify them, reconcile them with one another, bring their competing interests into harmony, or realize any important goods such as justice, freedom, or peace. Wow. While its power might be harnessed from time to time, that will serve the interest of some, not the interest of all. The state is thus an institution through which individuals and groups seek to exercise power. Oh my God. Really? So, though it is not the only such institution, oh my God, yeah, you got that one right. But it is also an institution that exercises power over individual and groups. How can that be? Is it any faith and belief into the equation? So the state is ultimately an abstraction, for it has no existence as a material object, is not confined to a particular space, and is not embodied in any person or collection of persons. So Professor Chandra Kukatas of the London School of Economics and Political Science has made it quite clear that the state has no interest in the appropriation of funds by illicit means, nor does it have any interest in funds at all. So it would be appropriate to note that for an officer of the state to engage in the appropriation of funds by any means is an act that is not in the best interests of the state. The state is not there as a vehicle for personal gain. It can be concluded that where an officer of the state is a confirmed criminal by their own end, they are not only not acting in the best interests of the state, but they are a security risk to the national security of the state, as well as an enemy of the state by default. This is a very serious matter, And all of the officers of the state have an obligation to the state to resolve this situation. To this end, there is a clear obligation for Mr. James Allen Ara, in the position of Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, to instruct Director of Finance to make a restoration and to return any funds collected under any Act of Parliament, such as income tax, national insurance, which has been transferred to HMRC by employers of Mr. Adrian James of 13 blah blah blah. For Mr. James Allen Ara, in the position of Secretary and as the Chief Executive Officer for HMRC, to fail in this clear obligation to the state, Mr. James Allen Ara, in the position of yada yada yada, would be in direct violation of his obligations in the office of the state. We therefore recommend that Mr. Yada Yada, in the position of Yada Yada, to make restoration of these funds with immediate effect by way of transfer of funds or a check in the name of Mr. Agent James. It would also be appropriate to include in this calculation the 8.5% compound interest and to give a full breakdown as necessary. We would expect this within 7 days of the date of this correspondence. An employer is vicariously liable for the wrongful or negligent acts of his or her employee committed within the scope of their authority. The House of James Affidavit of Truth and Statement of Fact is attached to this email. Should Mr. James Allen Ara fail to execute the above written instrument, then there is now a clear and noted obligation for Mr. Yada Yada to provide the presentable and material evidence of the consent of the governed. And this is it. This is what Adrian James made available to you guys. So if you want to download it from the groups, feel free to do so if you find that is something that you would like to start asking questions and use it to, come on, monkey boys, what is it? What is it? Okay. What is it that we have here, right? What is it? What do we have here? And on that note, and to finish off, because we are on the 1 hour mark already, and I don't want to make these videos too long so people don't get frustrated by watching them. I know this is a very broad subject. I would just close this video with this one. So we go again to Merriam-Webster dictionary, and let's see what they say here. So a statute, a law enacted by the legislative branch of a government, an act of a corporation, or if its founder intend as a permanent rule, an international instrument setting up an agency and regulating its scope or authority. So this is what we have here on the Webster thingy. And if we take this to our lovely etymology, let's see what our lovely etymology has to tell us about it. Here we have it. Let's see. Okay, so here we have 1300s, a law of the land, a ruler's decree. Is a promulgation legal statute from late Latin statutum, a law, decree, Use of neuter past principle or Latin stature, enact, establish, from status, condition, position, from stare, to stand, make, or be firm. Especially later, an ordinance promulgated by a legislative body. As an adjective, designate units of measurement or weight as set by statute. Statutory, pertaining to statutes, depending on statute or authority, required by statute. It was used earlier in a now obsolete sense of pertaining to enactment. Sexual intercourse with a female below the legal age of consent, statutory rape. No, that's not what we are looking for. But yeah, this is what we have here, right? But I will bring maybe next time, so I won't make this one too long. I will bring that one that says that a statute is, it requires the consent of the governed. So thank you so much for watching again. Thank you for your comments, and if you want anything else, just keep leaving those comments, and I will try to if there is anything I can bring, or any questions that you guys have, just make sure you be respectful and on point. And I'm enjoying doing this so much, because I've been discovering so much so much shit, to be honest. And the main shit is this one. So what is UK tax laws? Do you guys know? If you know, please leave a comment, and let me see, what did you find that I couldn't find, because I'm still looking for them. Right? Okay, see you guys next time, and I hope you have a good one.